The crypto bear market has been brutal, and it seems it won't be over until every crypto niche has crashed. It seems that NFTs are the last dominoes to fall in this regard, and it appears that these dominoes have just been pushed over by the SEC. That's because the regulator recently announced its first lawsuit against an NFT project, which could foreshadow similar lawsuits and an outcome that could set a concerning precedent for expensive JPEGs. Today, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about the lawsuit, including why it's so significant, what it alleges, and how its outcome could impact more than just the NFT niche. I want to start by explaining why the SEC's NFT lawsuit is so significant. If you've been keeping up with our coverage of crypto regulations, you'll know that NFTs haven't been included in most of them. In other words, NFTs were basically the only crypto niche that wasn't facing regulatory scrutiny. If you've watched any of our videos about the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, you'll know that most crypto regulations have their roots in its so-called recommendations. You'll also know the reason why it omitted NFTs from these recommendations is because it doesn't consider them to be virtual assets. Obviously, this makes no sense, and it makes even less sense considering that there seems to be lots of NFT-related crime. For context, the FATF's primary purpose is to fight illicit financial activity, at least on paper. Logically then, you'd think they'd be interested in scrutinizing NFTs, but, well, apparently not. If you watched our video about NFT-related crime, you'll know that the FATF's apparent lack of oversight of NFTs could be related to their similarity to the fine art market. For reference, the fine art market is quite shady and unregulated, and up to 20% of all fine art transactions could be related to illicit financial activity. But of course, this is okay because fine art is primarily bought and sold by the people in power. Anyway, conspiracy theories aside, another reason why the FATF and global regulators have ignored NFTs is because they're not direct competitors to the existing financial system. For those unfamiliar, the FATF's purpose in practice is to protect the existing financial system, and that means cracking down on crypto. Whatever the reason, the fact that NFTs were left out of most crypto regulations meant that they were, theoretically, a safe haven for the bear market. Now, at first glance, this seems to have played out for the most part. BTC and ETH have crashed more than most major NFT collections in percentage terms. Upon closer inspection, however, you realize that most major NFT collections are priced in ETH, which means that they've technically seen larger losses in fiat terms. As a fun fact, this is why some prolific crypto investors like Real Vision's Raoul Pal hold NFTs. They're a leveraged bet on ETH's price. Anyways, even though NFTs have seen large losses in fiat terms, you might have noticed that there wasn't really an FTX-type moment in this particular crypto niche. Quite the contrary. There have been lots of bullish updates for NFTs, new collections like Bitcoin ordinals coming out, and even positive regulatory news. The headline that comes to mind in this regard dates from back in March, when the SEC gave approval to a blockchain project to issue tokenized art NFTs. This was not only seen as bullish for the NFT niche, but also bullish for asset tokenization in general, something that institutional investors have been pushing for. Late last month, however, the SEC made an announcement that flipped the NFT sentiment from bullish to bearish. The regulator announced its first ever lawsuit against an NFT project. As always, it's the details of this lawsuit that have everyone concerned. They could be applied to other NFT collections. So, the NFT collection that the SEC targeted was Founders Keys, created by Impact Theory, a Californian media company behind a YouTube channel run by Tom Bilyeu, the co-founder of Quest Nutrition, a food company that focuses on high-protein products. Ever heard of those Quest bars? Anyhow, the lawsuit begins by revealing that the SEC and Impact Theory have already reached a settlement, meaning that the case is closed. I'll come back to that later. All I'll say for now is that 2 SEC commissioners dissented against the SEC's decision to sue Impact Theory, More on that later too. Now, the lawsuit goes on to explain that Impact Theory raised almost $30 million with its Founders Keys NFT collection in 2021. Not bad for a year's work. In all seriousness, the authors note that some of these NFT sales were made to US residents, hence why the SEC is involved. The authors take issue with the fact that Impact Theory had said that it would use the proceeds from these NFT sales for development, to bring on more team members, and to create more projects. Because of this, the authors determined that these NFTs were sold as unregistered securities. Now, to refresh your memory, a security is any asset that meets the 4 criteria of the Howey test. You buy it using money, the price action is the same for everyone who bought has an expectation of profit, and this expectation of profit is coming from an identifiable third party. Most cryptos meet the first 3 criteria, including most NFTs. The 4th criterion is usually the deciding factor. Some cryptos and NFTs don't have a third party that you can point to which is creating an expectation of profit. In this case, the SEC alleged that Impact Theory was this third party. And because Impact Theory didn't register with the SEC before selling the Founders Keys NFTs, it therefore violated securities laws. On that note, the authors specify that, quote, neither Impact Theory nor its securities have ever been registered with the Commission in any capacity. Now, this ties into the facts of the case from the SEC's perspective. The authors explain the specifics of the NFT sales before pointing out that Impact Theory had been promoting the NFT sales on its socials leading up to the sales. Notably, they say that the NFTs were advertised as being a stake in the company. The authors provide a list of quotes from Impact Theory to back up their claims, such as, quote, trying to build the next Disney. Quote, this is like being offered to invest in a booming company when they're Series A. And, quote, this is an opportunity that has never been there. It's like handing $20 to Mark Zuckerberg in his dorm room. From the SEC's perspective, this is analogous to, well, confessing to a murder. What's interesting is that the authors seem to take issue with the fact that Impact Theory used the proceeds from its NFT sales to fund its development. They specify that the company, quote, used a portion of those proceeds to pay certain vendors providing services related to Impact Theory's business. This is consistent with something the SEC has hinted at in other lawsuits, and that's that it doesn't like any crypto projects or companies that raise money before they've reached their final form, so to speak. That said, the SEC doesn't seem to like anything that implies there will be future gains or improvements of any kind. Now, what's crazy is that Impact Theory made almost another $1 million in secondary sales of its Founders Keys NFTs. This is because the company had set a 10% royalty on all secondary market trades. Speaking of which, this royalty capacity of NFTs seems to be coming under scrutiny. Anywho, the authors reiterate that Impact Theory's NFTs are unregistered securities and that its sales were not approved by the SEC, nor did the company seek permission prior to these sales. As such, the NFT sales were illegal. The authors note that the punishment for this crime is to pay back all the money. What's fascinating is that the SEC appears to have accepted Impact Theory's settlement offer because the company had tried to refund Founders Keys NFT holders by buying back the NFTs. The authors estimate that the company spent almost $8 million worth of ETH on these buybacks. The authors also note that, as part of the settlement agreement, Impact Theory agreed to delist all Founders Keys NFTs in its possession or control, to publicly announce that they've settled with the SEC, and to remove the 10% royalty on any outstanding NFTs, all within 10 days of the order. In addition, Impact Theory agreed to work with the SEC to refund any remaining Founders Keys NFT holders as part of the punishment of paying back all the money. Oddly enough, it seems that the SEC didn't ask for the full amount. The financial punishment amounts to a little over $6 million. This relates to Impact Theory's press release about its settlement with the SEC, which you'll recall was one of the settlement conditions. The company published the press release on the same day as the SEC published the settlement, and it starts by saying that it's happy to have settled with the regulator. At the same time, though, the press release notes that the company is disappointed about the SEC's attitude towards the crypto industry lately. That is a bit of an understatement. Chairman Gary Gensler and the gang have been on an outright witch hunt. Literally everything is an unregistered security. In any case, the press release notes that Impact Theory hopes the questions posed by the dissenting SEC commissioners will be answered. More about those in a moment. The press release goes on to make a peculiar claim, and that's that Impact Theory is committed to ensuring that all future digital assets issued by the company are, quote, collectibles with utility. Now, the way this is worded almost makes it sound like a promise not to promote its future NFT projects. Funnily enough, the press release then starts effectively promoting another project that Impact Theory is working on, which reportedly leverages NFTs. The press release even provides examples of praise that the project has received and notes that Impact Theory promises to expand the project in the near future. But back to the SEC's dissent. On the same day that the SEC published the settlement and Impact Theory published the press release, SEC Commissioners Hester Peirce and Mark Uyeda published a statement opposing the outcome and posing 9 questions to their colleagues asking for clarification. Hester and Mark argue that Impact Theory's NFT sales did not constitute an unregistered securities offering, despite the company's promotional activities. Specifically, quote, the handful of company and purchaser statements cited by the order are not the kinds of promises that form an investment contract. The Commissioners explained that, quote, we do not routinely bring enforcement actions against people that sell watches, paintings, or collectibles, along with vague promises to build the brand and thus increase the resale value of those tangible items. They also argue that the punishment was excessive. The Commissioners go on to underscore the fact that this is the SEC's first enforcement action against an NFT project, and this raises, quote, many difficult questions as a result. They blast the SEC for not answering these questions sooner. So, let me ask Gary himself. Hi Gary, it's good to have you here.
Hello Guy, thanks for having me on. The pleasure, I'm sure, is all yours.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, let's get started. Question 1. There is no universal definition of NFT, in large part because there are so many different categories of NFTs. So, could the SEC provide definitions for NFTs and its different categories so that crypto projects and companies know when they're breaking US securities laws?
No, because all NFTs are unregistered securities. Come in and register. I won't bite.
Okay. Question 2. Could the SEC provide regulatory guidance for crypto companies or projects wanting to issue or offer NFTs?
The guidance is already there. The regulations are clear. Don't crypto bros know how to read?
Right. Okay. Question 3. Should US politicians propose new laws to address NFT regulation?
That's not required. The SEC already has authority over NFTs. The only thing it needs is money.
Okay. Question 4. Are securities laws really appropriate for NFTs? Is there some other regulator perhaps is better positioned to police this particular crypto niche?
Another regulator? Like who? The CFTC. They paid you to ask this question, didn't they? Those snakes.
No, they didn't, Gary. Anyway, question 5. If the SEC is the appropriate regulator for NFTs, then what's the registration process? Shouldn't it be tailored specifically towards NFTs?
Look, I already approved that other fractionalized art NFT application, okay? That's enough kindness for 1 year.
Okay, thanks. Question 6. Does the recent enforcement action mean that you'll start going after other NFT projects? Will you at least give them a heads up that you're coming, Gary?
Not telling, but you'll know when I publish another carefully scripted video about protecting investors from this dangerous asset class.
Can't wait. Question 7. What restrictions should be put on secondary NFT sales, if any?
Secondary sales should not be allowed because they could allow retail investors to make money. If they're allowed to make money, how will they be protected?
I see. Okay. Question 8. The recent settlement required the NFT issuer to destroy the NFTs in its possession. So, what kind of precedent does that set for future NFT cases? Will they have to destroy their NFTs too?
They will do whatever Wall Street tells me to tell them to do. That's how regulations work, Guy.
Great. Thanks. Right, last question. The recent settlement required the NFT issuer to eliminate the 10% royalty from secondary sales. So does this mean that royalties on NFTs go against the SEC's rules?
Look, I already told you that investors need to be protected, so no royalties. I am the only royalty here.
Okay, well, thanks, Gary. I appreciate your time.
No problem, Guy. May I say one thing before I go?
Of course.
Screw you.
Charming. Anyhow, look, jokes aside, Wall Street does seem to have an interesting history with the SEC, and you can learn more about that by checking out our first video about the SEC using the link in the description. So this brings us to the big question, and that's why the SEC's NFT lawsuit is so significant, and not just for NFTs. Well, for starters, the settlement sets precedent to go after other NFT projects. It's eerily similar to Kraken's settlement with the SEC for staking and the SEC's subsequent lawsuit against Coinbase. Those of you who follow NFTs will know that Impact Theory isn't the only company that's been promoting its NFTs in a way that invites an SEC lawsuit. Objectively speaking, the Founders Keys NFTs collection probably ranks much lower on the promo spectrum compared to most other NFT collections. The bigger issue, though, is the SEC's sudden focus on the NFT niche. As some of you will know, most of the FATF's recommendations seem to have their roots in US regulations. The crypto recommendations in particular seem to have come downstream from crypto policies proposed by entities like the US Treasury and the SEC. And that reminds me of our recent video about the Treasury's proposed crypto tax rules. If you saw that video, you'll know that NFTs are one of the crypto niches it singled out. To be fair, the focus of the scrutiny was around NFT marketplaces, but it nonetheless highlights a change in tone about NFTs. This all foreshadows a change in tones about NFTs from the FATF, which could mean a change in tone about NFTs from other regulators around the world. This means that NFTs could soon start receiving just as much scrutiny as crypto projects. The difference is that NFTs are not nearly as liquid as cryptos. In plain English, this means that NFT prices could fall further and faster in response to crypto regulations compared to fungible coins and tokens. This begs the question of why entities like the Treasury and the SEC have suddenly changed their tune on NFTs. Well, one possible answer is because of digital ID, or even just asset tokenization in general. As you might have heard, governments around the world are in the process of rolling out digital IDs. And if you watched our video about the financial system that the central banks envision, you'll know that they want every single asset in existence to be tokenized on a private, permissioned blockchain controlled by the government. In such a system, you will own nothing and be happy. Now, whereas fungible cryptocurrency coins and tokens are competitors to fiat currencies, banks, and asset managers, non-fungible cryptocurrency tokens could be seen as competitors to the centrally controlled tokenized asset systems that governments and central banks are trying to roll out around the world. Take a second to consider that a robust, decentralized digital ID would likely be a non-transferable NFT of some kind. It's safe to assume that governments don't want to lose control of the identity of their citizens any more than they want to lose control of their national currencies. Now, if this theory is correct, then chances are we'll see evidence of it in upcoming NFT regulations, which are reportedly already in the works in some countries. You can rest assured that we'll be reading through these regulations and letting you know exactly why it is that NFTs are facing so much scrutiny. And that's all for today's video, folks. So if you found it insightful, let me know by smashing that like button. If you want to keep getting more crypto insights, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell. If you want to help others get some insight into this particular topic, share this video with them. And if you've been accumulating crypto, make sure you're doing so using an affordable crypto exchange and storing your coins and tokens on a secure hardware wallet. The Coin Bureau deals page has up to $40,000 of discounts and bonuses on the former and the biggest discounts on the latter. The link to that will be down in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Guy, over and out.